My world shattered when I uncovered the truth about my wife's betrayal and a deadly plot to erase me. But I didn't break, I took his empire instead. This is my story. My name is Ethan Caldwell, a 36-year-old lawyer whose life once seemed perfect. My wife, Lauren, 34, was my everything, vibrant, loving, the woman I built my future around. We dreamed of a family, but 2 years ago our unborn child was lost to a miscarriage that plunged Lauren into a darkness I couldn't reach. Her depression consumed her, and I stood by helpless as she pushed me away. Then came the bombshell from her doctor, Abigail Reed, a revelation so shocking it unraveled everything I thought I knew. And now a cryptic summons from Victoria Prescott, a powerful figure in Manhattan's elite, pulled me into a web of secrets I wasn't prepared for. I sat across from Lauren that night in our dimly lit Brooklyn apartment, the city's hum a faint pulse outside. I recounted my meeting at the Prescott estate, expecting her usual detachment. Instead, her eyes sparked with curiosity. "What did Victoria want?" she asked, leaning forward, her voice alive in a way I hadn't heard in months. I fumbled, unable to explain Victoria's vague urgency. Lauren's interest mirrored my own confusion, and for a moment I saw the woman I fell in love with. Emboldened by her warmth, I gently broached the miscarriage, hoping for answers. But her face hardened, her denial sharp as a blade. "It never happened, Ethan," she snapped, her voice trembling with suppressed rage. The air grew heavy, and I retreated to my study, the weight of her words suffocating me. Sleep eluded me as questions swirled Lauren's denial. Abigail's absence, Victoria's summons. I needed answers. The next morning, I left our apartment under the guise of work, driving through New York's chaotic streets toward Cornell Medical Center. Traffic crawled, a police helicopter buzzing overhead, its shadow flickering across my windshield. I swerved onto side streets, my pulse racing, as if the city itself was closing in. At the hospital, I demanded to see Dr. Reed, but the receptionist's puzzled look stopped me cold. "She's not here," she said. "She left for a research trip, maybe Japan. We've canceled her appointments indefinitely." My heart sank. Every lead was a dead end, and I felt like a man drowning in his own life. Back in my car, I barely noticed the helicopter trailing me again, its hum a distant menace. At the office, my phone buzzed with a text from Victoria. "Meet me at Liberty Street, 8 p.m. Come alone. Wait if I'm late." My stomach churned. Why the secrecy? Why now? I left a voicemail for Lauren, keeping it vague, and buried myself in work, chasing distraction in cups of bitter coffee. As night fell, I programmed the GPS in my BMW and drove into the heart of Red Hook, a gritty corner of the city where shadows clung to every corner. The GPS led me to a desolate intersection, the streetlights flickering like dying stars. I parked on Liberty Street, engine idling, doors locked, my unease growing in the eerie silence. Minutes dragged on. The coffee I'd downed earlier gnawed at me, urgent and undeniable. With no restroom in sight, I cursed under my breath and slipped into a narrow alley, the stench of garbage thick in the air. I found a shadowed spot behind a pile of trash bags, muttering bitterly about my fall from grace. As I finished, a figure darted toward my car. "Hey!" I shouted, fumbling with my zipper. The engine roared, and before I could move, a body slammed into me, knocking me into the trash. Dazed, I struggled, my hands brushing against soft curves. A woman. Before I could stammer an apology, her hand clamped over my mouth. "Stay down." "Be quiet," she hissed, her voice low and commanding. A piercing screech split the night. A blinding streak of light struck my car, the explosion deafening. Flames erupted, searing the air as the woman shielded me from the blast. Shrapnel screamed past, and my ears rang as the wreckage smoldered. The woman now I saw her face, Olivia Bennett, yanked me to my feet. "Move. Stay in the shadows," she ordered, clutching a twisted piece of metal from the debris. My heart pounded as we fled through the alley, the distant whir of a drone haunting the sky above. She led me to a discreetly parked sedan on Front Street, driving without headlights through Brooklyn's maze. "That was a drone strike," she said, her voice steady. "Laser-guided, maybe 20 pounds of explosives. You're lucky they brought out the heavy artillery for you." "Lucky," I spat, my voice shaking. "My car's gone and someone just tried to kill me." Olivia's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. That wasn't Victoria's doing. The text was a fake. I stared, disbelieving. She doesn't even text Ethan. Think about it. My mind reeled, betrayal and fear colliding as the city blurred past. Olivia admitted she'd been tailing me for days at Victoria's request. "You weren't supposed to see me," she said with a wry smile. "But I'm not the only one watching you." The helicopter's shadow loomed in my memory, a predator circling its prey. We pulled up to a grand white brick mansion on Riverside Drive, owned by Senator Theodore Prescott, Victoria's father. The house stood like a fortress, its elegance a stark contrast to the chaos I'd escaped. A butler greeted us, leading us to a lavish dining room where sandwiches and drinks awaited. My stomach growled, and Olivia and I ate in silence, the night's terror momentarily held at bay. Over coffee, she shared her story, a Montana girl turned security expert hired by Prescott Global for her quick thinking. Victoria entered her presence, commanding yet warm. "I'm relieved you're safe, Ethan," she said, gripping my hand. "Someone used my name to lure you into that trap. I had no part in it." She sat, her gaze piercing. "Your visit to Dr. Reed must have triggered something. Cornell isn't just a hospital. It's a leader in DNA research. They keep detailed DNA records for every patient, including fetuses from the past decade." My breath caught, the implications crashing over me like a wave. As a Cornell trustee, Victoria could access restricted records. "Stay here tonight," she urged. "You're safe here. They think you were in that car." I nodded, exhaustion and fear numbing my resolve as the mansion's walls seemed to close in protectively. The next morning, Olivia and I drove to Cornell's Genetic Resources Facility, me posing as her driver to avoid attention. The facility's sleek interior buzzed with cutting-edge tech, a stark contrast to its weathered brick facade. A researcher met us, guiding us to a sterile waiting room. Olivia handed him 2 hair samples, one mine, one unknown, and requested DNA comparisons with 2 stored samples. "We need to confirm paternity," she said, passing him coded identifiers. My pulse quickened. Paternity. Whose hair was the second sample? The researcher promised results in 30 minutes thanks to the facility's advanced capabilities and Victoria's influence. As we waited, I noticed Olivia glance at a security camera, silencing my questions with a subtle shake of her head. The air felt thick with secrets, each second stretching into eternity. When the researcher returned, he handed Olivia an envelope. Back at the Prescott mansion, Victoria opened it, her expression unreadable. She passed me a sheet. "This is your DNA, Ethan," she said softly. "It matches the fetus Lauren aborted 2 years ago. You were the father." Relief flooded me, then fury. "She aborted our child," I whispered, tears stinging my eyes. "Why?" Victoria hesitated, then handed me the second sheet. "This matches the fetus Lauren miscarried last spring. You're not the father. The other sample is." My world tilted. "Whose sample?" I demanded, my voice breaking. Victoria's eyes darkened. "It's from my husband, Marcus Prescott." The room spun as the truth hit. Lauren had been unfaithful with Marcus carrying his child. I sank onto the sofa, grief and rage warring within me. Olivia's hand rested on my shoulder, grounding me as tears fell. "I'm confronting her," I said, my voice steel. Victoria urged caution, but I couldn't wait. Using a burner phone Olivia provided, I called Lauren. Her voice trembled. "Ethan, where are you? I was so worried." "Don't," I cut her off. "I know about you and Marcus. I know you aborted our child and miscarried his." Her denials were frantic, but I hung up, vowing divorce. The betrayal burned a wound too deep for words. That night, Olivia distracted me with a baseball game, her banter a lifeline. As we laughed over bad calls, I felt a flicker of hope, her presence a quiet anchor in my storm. At dawn, a detective arrived, summoning me to Marcus Prescott's office. Olivia grabbed a tablet, her eyes sharp. "Precaution," she whispered, following me. At Prescott Global's towering Manhattan headquarters, I surrendered my phone and passed through a high-tech scanner. The opulent office, with its carved wood and city views, screamed power, a world Marcus ruled. Marcus led me to a private rooftop garden, his demeanor cold. "This is about Lauren," he said, his voice clipped. "You think you know everything, but you don't." I bristled. "I know you tried to kill me to hide your affair." He waved it off as a misunderstanding, claiming rogue associates acted without his orders. His arrogance fueled my anger. He spoke of his legacy, admitting Lauren was his lover before our marriage, a perfect cover. "She used contraception with you," he sneered. "But not with me." Each word was a dagger, exposing years of deception. He offered a deal: stay married, play the father to his child, and gain a top role at Davidson Legal Consortium. The city sparkled below, tempting me with a future I'd dreamed of. But as he left, I knew I couldn't comply. 3 months later, at my confirmation hearing for Davidson's managing partner, I stood before the board, Lauren watching her pregnancy visible. My heart pounded as I rejected the nomination, exposing Marcus's crimes, his affair, the drone attack, his manipulation. Helen distributed evidence, DNA proof, and drone wreckage. Chaos erupted, cameras flashing as Lauren's face crumpled. A year later, I filled my tank at a gas station, glancing at a headline: "Marcus Prescott convicted in fraud and conspiracy, sentenced to 20 years. I smirked. He got his legacy. Driving west with Olivia, I felt lighter. "Nebraska's an hour away," I said, her hand warm in mine. The open road stretched ahead, a new chapter free from lies.